I'm gonna help you master your marathon with these 5 tips. First one you're gonna do is you're gonna start off slow. Now hear me out. I know you're trying to race this. I know you're trying to go fast, but if you're able to start slower than you anticipated, then you're gonna have a lot more energy towards the end. And a lot of people that slow down in a marathon, slow down at the end of the marathon. They don't usually feel the fatigue the first like 10, 15 miles. It's the last 10, 15 miles that gets them. A lot of this has to go with your training and how well you did at preparing, making sure that you hit your training paces, making sure that you do your easy runs, your fast runs, your long runs, your short runs, all of the above. But if you can start off slow, that's going to save enough energy for the end of the race, which is where you're going to do your best. The first half or the first 20 miles should feel boring, okay? If you can just coast the first like 20 miles and then race the last 10K, then you're in for a good race. Boring as in like easy speed is going to be the big thing and crucial thing to help you finish a marathon strong. Figuring out a game plan or a strategy with your coach or yourself to determine like, hey, this is kind of where I want to be. This is how much I'm going to drink. This is how much I'm going to eat. I'm going to make sure I don't overdo it when I see a cheering crowd. I'm not going to sprint past my friends just to impress them. Those are all going to be really important things for you to do on race day so that you can save that energy for the very end. There's always that saying, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And it's so true. If you can start off easy and finish the race fast, you're going to do a much better time than if you start off fast and then try and hold on. The second big thing for you to master your marathon is going to be a rhythm. Try and find that rhythm, that easy speed, that boring portion that I was talking about in the beginning, and then that's going to help you a lot in the end. You're going to have to backtrack months and weeks to determine what this rhythm or pacing is going to be like for you because you would have practiced it a lot in your training. If you go back 2 months and you did 10 800s and you held a 8-minute pace, then that's where your marathon will probably be at, as long as you continue to do it over the 2 months leading up into the race. Now, if that's a 7-minute or a 6:30, same exact thing applies. You're holding that pace, you're practicing it, and then on race day, you're executing it. Another big thing with getting into a rhythm is it should feel like a little bit of an easy speed. Your legs are tapered, they're rested, you're ready to run. Now don't push it too hard to try and hold a certain pace that you want as your goal time. There are other tips that go on with your rhythm, but I'm going to talk about them a little bit later. So for the third aspect of mastering your marathon is going to be hydration and nutrition. Write out a game plan and then stick to it. You're going to have to adjust this a little bit based on how you feel that day. Maybe you overdid it a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit hotter than you anticipated. Maybe that you drank too much water at an aid station. Those things can influence how you adjust your plan. But if you have a plan A, a B, a C, a D, then that's going to be important for you so that on race day you can just switch to plan B or plan C because this is not working. I'll use one of my Ironman examples where in my marathon, I had overeaten on the bike because I didn't adjust for the calories in my drink that I didn't anticipate drinking. But anyway, my stomach was not feeling good. I tried to have a gel the first like 2 miles of the run and it was not sitting right. So I had to adjust to my plan B and C of trying just to drink water and then trying to drink Coca-Cola and water as my fuel and hydration. I ran the rest of that marathon from mile 2 on Coca-Cola and water. And it worked for me. But that was a plan that I had in case gels weren't going to be sitting on my stomach very well. You're gradually going to be dehydrated as the race goes on, and you could perform really well up until a couple percentage points, 3 to 5 percentage points. If you get dehydrated more than that, aka you lose more water weight throughout the race than that 3 to 5%, then your performance starts to hinder. So you're not going to be able to rehydrate as much as that you get dehydrated. But if you can go down 1 or 2% and then back up 1%, down 1%, up 1%, and so on and so forth, that way you don't end up 10% dehydrated and your performance is very slow compared to what you wanted to do. As for nutrition, your body can tolerate like 60 to 90 grams of carbs on average during a race. This is something that you have to practice. So we're going to go back 2 months again and see on your long run, did you train with a little bit of gels? Did you train with a banana before? Did you train with cereal or oatmeal before, that will lead you into having more carbs for you to run. Now, you're not going to do anything new on race day. So you would have to practice this during your long runs or other runs just to see how well your body tolerates it, how well your stomach tolerates it. As for me, I'm going to have oatmeal beforehand. I'm going to have a gel right before the start, a gel every 20 minutes with some water to dilute it in my stomach so that I can absorb it and have more energy for the end of the race. The fourth tip that I have for you is just listen to your body. I always tell my athletes, heart rate doesn't lie. It tells you in that moment whether you're working hard or easy or in a good zone. If you're able to get your zones in terms of metabolic testing, and you know what zone 2 is, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, you definitely won't want to be in a zone 5 for a marathon. That's just not going to help you last the entire marathon. So if it's a hotter day and your heart rate is higher, you're going to have to adjust your speed because your body can't do that for a very, very, very long time. There's too many people that I know that have gone into a race and they're like, I'm going to hit this exact time. And they have the pace, they train for it and all this, and the day of the race was 80 degrees. You're not going to PR on a day that's 80 degrees, for the most part. You might PR, but you might not hit the time goal that you were anticipating. Let me take it back. If you don't adjust to what your heart rate is telling you on that day, then the last 10K, 10 miles is going to be really, really difficult. Another part of listening to your body is going to be when your mind wanders and has negative thoughts. Typically, if you have negative thoughts that come in during a race like that, it's because you probably need fuel. So if that starts to creep in, maybe just reflect and see like, oh, maybe I missed a gel, or maybe I need a little bit more food. That could be something that will help you on down the road. Another part of listening to your body is your belly. It's going to tell you whether there's too much water or too much food in it. If there's too much water, you're going to have this like swish kind of sloshy kind of feeling. And in that moment, you're probably going to skip water on the next aid station. If your body feels like it's cramping in the stomach or there's some kind of like discomfort here, you might need to space out your food a little bit more. The stress of racing does make things slow down in terms of digestion. And if you were training at one speed and you were comfortable with having 2 gels an hour, but now coming race day, you're a little bit faster because your legs are a little bit fresher, but your heart rate is still doing really well in the zone that you want to work in, then those gels might not be able to be digested as well. So you might have to space it out a little bit more. That's why it's important to have that plan A, B, C, D in terms of nutrition, hydration, and game plan for race day. And the 5th tip to master your marathon is just going to be mental toughness. And I hope I got to you before the race day, but if I didn't, then figure out a mantra that's going to help you get from the start line to the finish line. I always like to tell myself, like, I get to do this and I'm able to do this. Not everyone can race. So I am hard on myself because I'm super competitive, but I also like to reflect on the fact of I'm able to do this and I'm able to have fun out there. So enjoy the moment, have fun, good luck on race day. All these tips should really help you out. Another way to build mental toughness is not to have music on those long runs or those short runs or those tempo runs, because during race day, you're not supposed to have music. It's a safety concern in case anything were to happen, you have music on, you're not going to be able to hear what's going on behind you. So practice without music, and that'll make you tougher for race day. One extra tip that I like to share with people is pump your arms when you start to get tired. Moving your arms like this will force your legs to keep on going and take your mind off how tired your legs are. So you can do this towards the end of the race just to keep it moving, trying to keep the same pace, trying to keep the same heart rate, and finish strong. If you like the content here, please like the video, comment below with what your next race is. And if you're looking for any strength training things for marathons and runners in particular, watch this next video.